everybody, welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me. Down the inside, absolutely impossible season.
This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakey will dive to the inside.
We were robust, we got our elbows out.
Ronard takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Jarno Watmere is your champion.
Hello, good evening and a warm welcome to you. Welcome back to PSGL F4, the PC division. We've arrived this time round number 5 out of 11. It's going quite fast, I have to say, and time is just flying by indeed. My name is Frostbreath, aka Rob, and I'll be your solo commentator tonight. Unfortunately, there weren't enough commentators to get me a co-com in tonight, and Hyperactive is still absent, unfortunately. Nor Aro could make it either. So here we are, all by myself, with a beautiful McLaren in the background, by the way. Anyway, it's been a good season so far for F4. You can here see now the latest race results from last week in Monaco, which I predicted to be quite the snooze fest, which Monaco usually is. But these drivers did not disappoint whatsoever, because they made this race extraordinarily epic. The brilliant overtakes by Damien Carril, the last few laps, which are quite exciting. The battle for the win between Neil Guillot and Scott Holmes. Neil, by the way, who's now managed to get himself a full-time seat, as opposed to being a reserve driver. He was the winner last time round, starting from 3rd on the grid, coming out as the winner, with Scott Holmes just behind, who started from 9th, by the way. That's how crazy that race was, with one safety car there as well. Absolutely mind-blowing. Then battles in the back of the field as well between Alessandro Finn, Lucas Shea. Had the stewards investigating those incidents. However, I've checked it, and I think there might have been a mistake here in this official race result thingy, because I know that Alessandro Finn has received a 5-second post-race penalty due to a collision with Lucas Shea. However, it's not been edited in the official race results. He's still classified as 7th, and I don't think he should be. It's a bit difficult to read, but I believe Marius Ioanu and Lucas Shea finished within 5 seconds of him, the both of them, so he should actually have finished 9th instead of 7th. And I've double checked, I haven't seen any appeal whatsoever, so I'm almost certain that Alessandro Finn isn't supposed to be there in P7 and should have scored 2 points instead of 4. Speaking of points, this is how it stands. Lewis Bloor, of course, was absent last week. However, he's still the championship leader after a disastrous DNF by Alexi Cavero. A 4th place with Thomas Launen has allowed him to catch up to the man in 2nd place. Damien Carril finished 3rd after a brilliant drive through the track there in Monaco. Unfortunately, late race damage has not allowed him to stay with the top 2. And that meant he only could finish 3rd at best. He's now at 19 points in 4th position. Neil Guillot, with his brilliant win and his 9th position in Australia, has caught up to the leading pack as well. 18 points now on the board for him, only 12 behind the championship leader. And equal on points with him, Alex Santana and Scott Holmes as well. Alex Santana, of course, having won in Texas. Scott Holmes finishing 2nd in Monaco last week alongside a 5th place in Texas. Now also on 18 points. Just behind them, Felipe Sousa in the Red Bull with a 4th, 7th and 6th position so far this season. Only 1 point behind on 17. Then the Morera is currently sitting in 16th. The winner of the first race this season has now fallen down to 9th in the standings. He is back though, as opposed to our championship leader, who's once again absent. And that is potentially going to mean big consequences for him this time. He was lucky last week that the top of the standings, the people in the standings finished quite disastrously, allowing him to stay in the lead with still 6 points to spare. It is quite something. So there's that. We're looking forward to see what's going to happen tonight in the next round. And of course, being Austria, one of the tracks where you see a load of overtakes, where the 1 and 2 stop are, I believe, almost as quick as one another. Maybe the 2 stop will have the edge here tonight. We'll find out whether those drivers are going to agree with me or not. Neil's computer crashed, fortunately. He's in the lobby in time, and we're about to go to the track with our fancy new sponsor boards alongside it as well. Of course, 36 laps coming up with 18 minutes of qualifying as well. Let's hope there's no need to be a restart, and we'll go to the race straight away. 17 drivers will be joining us tonight, excluding your championship leader, also excluding full-time drivers such as Oliver Knott, Neo, Scott Holmes, our second place finisher from last week, and Yusuf Sayed all will be absent. We'll have 2 reserve drivers to fill two of those 5 seats, I should say, that are missing tonight. Diego Ferrer and once again Marius Ioanu. Let's go to the track and show you what is going on right here. There we are. It's a little overcast, although it's on the verge of getting quite sunny out there. So it is most likely going to be dry conditions. If it was going to be raining very soon, we would have seen all these drivers coming out immediately to go to the track and get a hot lap in as soon as possible. It's not happened a lot, but it can happen every now and then. A bit of a strange graphical glitch there going on. A smear of the Mercedes remains in the pit lane for some reason. There's the F1 25 game for you. Alessandro Finn, the man who got a post-race penalty last week in Monaco due to a collision with Lucas Shea, is the first out on track to try and set a hot lap here. Let's hope the game will remain smooth as it is right now. Path racing is back on. I believe the last time I had it on, it was with screen sharing to my Cocom, which my PC thought was a little bit too much, causing the game to crash twice during both qualifying and the race as well. Fortunately, so far so good. Let's hope it will remain stable throughout these sessions. Alessandro Finn, therefore, first out on track, followed by Alexi Cavero on the back straight right now. Of course, don't forget, 3 DRS zones, plenty of overtaking opportunities. Turn 1, if you're brave, and then, of course, turns 2 and 3, technically 4 as well. Of course, it's always a bit of a strange thing here, the corner numbers. There's 10 of them in total. And the slight left-hander before the big hairpinish corner of turn 2/3 is not really counted as a corner, although sometimes it is, which is always a bit interesting. Then, of course, we're now going to have to watch Alessandro Finn trying a hot lap here, first out of everybody. He just managed to get ahead of 3 cars in traffic, which is lucky for him. No problems there at all for Alessandro as he heads onto the back straight. DRS wide open below the sponsor boards. And then onwards to the next corner, turn 4. Looks a little understeery to me, that car, as it stands. Had a bit of a drift to the outside, entering the corner. Same here, misses the apex by quite a bit, I'd say. Then again, I'm not as quick as these drivers, so perhaps that might be the ideal line. 50 seconds in and headed towards the final 2 corners, turns 9 and 10. And then we'll see what Alessandro can do. And of course, this corner exit and this one as well, both notorious for track limits and drivers going too wide. A 1 minute 3.2, I have to say, is very rapid indeed. Let's watch then Thomas Laminen, the man who started on pole position last week and had a terrible race, I'd say, in Monaco. Should have been his. Had everything gone to plan for him. Of course, the obligatory 2-stop does make the race a little bit more interesting. Then again, there was a safety car and several other dramatic things happening as Alexi Cavero goes faster than Alessandro Finn, the man who can potentially overtake Lewis Bloor in the championship. Certainly sitting in second in the standings still. Tristan Janssen slotting in third, just behind Alessandro Finn. Laminen, though, looking to improve on Alexi's lap, which has now become JST's lap, who goes a lot faster than Alexi, a 1 minute 2.7. These guys are on absolute roll. They're going very rapid indeed, and Laminen manages to get into 3rd place, just squeezes in between Cavero and Marius Ioanu, who got himself into 4th position. Let's have a little look at some other drivers. Jeroen Visser, for example, just has started his hot lap. Then the Moreira, I believe, is a bit further up the road. And I believe Lucas Shea, same story, hasn't validated his lap, unfortunately. Has to bail out. Is he going to try again on this lap set of tires? I don't think he will be. Many drivers these days prefer to qualify on the freshest possible set of tires. So I wouldn't be surprised if Lucas Shea is going back here. Never mind. He's going to go for another lap as Alex Santana now invalidates as well. He became one of the first retirements last week. And he kind of predicted in the chat as well. So yeah, there's that. Predicted his own downfall. Oh, Nano Mirror nearly went too wide there. Fortunately for him, didn't happen. 1 minute 3.184 is only good enough for P8 by this point, as Dennis Kamensky has become the second drive to go into the 1 minute 2s. 1 minute 2.822 is good enough for the front row seat, alongside JST for the time being. Diego Ferrer, one of two reserve drivers this time alongside Tristan Janssen in the other Haas in the place of Scott Holmes. He slots himself into 8th position with a 1.3.090, just a hundredth of a second behind Marius Ioanu, and a bit more than that ahead of Philippe Sousa. Lucas Shea has tried again on the same set of tires. I wonder if he's going to finish this lap. Looks like he is. Yep, going to the outside of that corner means he will finish this lap, and he will slot himself into a 1 minute 2.9, despite the set of tires being one lap older, just behind Jeroen Visser and Damien Carril, who've managed to beat Alexi Cavero to the line as well. That means now 5 drivers below the 1 minute 3 mark, and it is promising to be a rapid qualifying indeed. And the difference between P1 and P5 is just under 0.2 of a second, which for this track is a decently sized gap. But then again, it's only the first runs. All the banker laps are now in, apart from 2 drivers, Nel Guillot, Monaco's winner, and Alex Santana. Still the hop lap so far. Looks like Neil has received a full-time Sauber seed. I believe that was in place of Sutil, who managed to never respond to an attendance call and is now out. And has been blocked from signing up for a little while, I think. Car number 66 then, this time for the first time as a full-time driver in F4, Neil Guillot, known by many as the King of Monaco. Let's see if he can become the King of Austria as well, because if he does so, he might have a proper shot at the title. Due to his win and his 9th place in Australia, he's already up in P5 in the standings. That's how quick these things goes. 5 rounds in, 4 rounds already with the points. So a good job by him so far. And let's see if he can improve there. He's driving around with the special livery that you can unlock by the new survival game mode. It's quite a fancy Sauber livery, I have to say so myself. Quite like the way the driver number looks at the front, at the nose of the car. This paint splashy way the livery has been done is quite fancy. Same goes of course for the Ferrari, which also has a special livery unlockable. And of course the McLarens and the Haas cars also have special liveries already unlocked for most drivers. As Neil goes through the first corner for a new attempt. Second attempt so far with just over 10 minutes remaining. Once again heading to turn number 2 or 3, whichever you want to call it. Ah, the hairpin doesn't appear to be his best friend. Don't think that was the most ideal line to take through that corner. We'll see how much the damage is once he finishes the lap. Turn 4 looks a little better. Nice exit there indeed. And then headed towards turn number 6. Can he hit the apex? He does so quite nicely. Prefer not to hit the curbs right there. 44.0 through the middle sector. I think that's quite decent so far. Can he get himself to the 1 minute 2s though? And try and battle with the likes of Lucas and Jeroen for a spot in the top 5, or perhaps better than that. Perhaps he finds himself close to JST. No, in fact, he's the slowest of the lot. 1 minute 3.3. That's quite a difference compared to his performance last week. He's going to have to find some extra time. Alessandro Finn has just squeezed himself through some traffic, and I think he's abandoned this hot lap. Because he had already lost a 10th in the first sector alone. And usually that's not a lot. But on a track like this, it's quite disastrous. And that means he's going to have to try again. Marius Ioanu. Purple first sector according to the game. But then again, Neil Guillot had 2 purple sectors as well. So let's take that with a huge package of salt. Marius just overtaken his teammate. Don't think he received a slipstream from Jeroen. Headed through the middle sector. What's his improvement going to be right there? in the second sector right here, just before turn 7. Well over a tenth quicker. That means he's quite well on his way to potentially provisional pole position. But there's some traffic coming up. Unless the Aston Martin moves out of the way now, he does. You can see it on the minimap. Aston Martin now on the main straight, and Mario's about to finish the lap. What's he gonna do? Nice, that extraordinary lap there. Well over 2 tenths quicker, and onwards to P3 he goes. Let's follow JST around. 11 milliseconds quicker in sector 1. Still going flat out through turn 6. What's the improvement going to be in sector 2? A bit more than that, just over half a tenth faster now. And he's gonna show the competition what it means to be fast around the Red Bull Ring. And unfortunately, that isn't going to happen anymore as he invalidates. At the exit of turn 9, would have been 62 milliseconds quicker. Dennis Kamensky, one of the drivers who could potentially take that provisional pole from JST, has lost a little bit of time in sector 2, about 200ths of a second. Can he find something extra in the final 2 corners then? Don't go too wide here. Nice and easy does it. And there's Lucas Shea. He's the man who now overtakes JST for provisional pole position. Dennis Kamensky doesn't improve, has lost time again in the final sector, not allowing to improve anymore. Damien Carril faster through the middle sector as well. His teammate improves just behind him to P6. 1 minute 2.9 there, 9.44. As he drifts through the final corner, Damien Carril does across the line. He also overtakes JST, goes to the front row of the field. And Damien looking strong again. We saw him flying in Monaco, and now he's flying in Austria as well. And it's a promising start of this weekend, race weekend, I should say, so far. Alex Santana can't seem to get a proper hot lap in. Goes a bit too wide in turn 1. And that's his second attempt now fully over. These tires will not give him a quick lap anymore. I believe I just saw it would have been a 1 minute 2.833. Would have given him P5. So there's speed for him. He just needs to keep it within the white lines. And then good things could be on his way. Nanamura through the middle sector. Quite a bit quicker than his previous attempt. Could be on his way to 1 minute 2 as well. Most drivers have now slotted themselves into 1 minute 2s. Nanamura will probably do the same thing here. He just misses out. And only improves to P13. The entire field, apart from Neil Guillot, is within about 0.3 of a second. Diego Ferrer and Alessandro Fin, as well as Nanamura, just a bit over it. And Neil has got some big time to find. Well, over half a tenth quicker in sector 1. That's a good improvement, but he needs more time in sectors 2 and 3. Otherwise, this might be a long race for him. And quite a downfall compared to last week. Lost time in sector 2. That car doesn't look particularly stable to me. Might be that he's not too happy in the Sauber. Oh! The lap just became a whole lot worse. He's gonna go around though. Can't go into the pit entry anymore. You will risk a penalty. That's the last thing you need. 7.4. Obviously not good enough. And that means one more attempt remains. Neil Guillot, the winner from Monaco, currently on a 0-0 trajectory. Not something you like to see. To be a champion, though, you have to be an all-round driver. And not just being good at one track in particular. Let's hope, for Neil's sake, that he will find some time in his final attempt. There are still over 4 minutes remaining. He can easily come back in and go back out again. As the track is, of course, really short. Judging by these lap times. 1 minute 2s. Then only Alex Santana remains with a lap time. Then Neil Guillot in 16th. Almost 0.3 back from Diego Ferro, just ahead of him in P15. And then we're going to go all the way up to a 1 minute 2.711 by Lucas Shea in first and provisional pole at the moment. Now the waiting begins. Who's going to blink first? Who's going to give himself an empty track to drive around? I feel like we're all going to have to wait a little bit. I believe one of the Haas cars, there we are, is joining us It's Diego Ferrer, who's decided that since he's in 15th anyway, might as well do it now. Get it over with. If he can do it now, great. If he messes up, he'll at least have another attempt. One of the Alpine drivers is thinking along the same lines. That is our pole sitter, provisional pole sitter, Lucas Shea, his teammate Thomas Laminen, just behind him there. A few cars in between them, including both Williams of Ryan Grob and JST. I haven't watched Ryan Grob for a little while now, so it's good to see him back in business. Currently sitting P12, 1 minute 2.9. Almost 3/10 clear from provisional pole. Tiny gaps. Do expect a DRS train, and I feel like drivers are gonna have to gamble on a 2-stop to try and break the chain. Try and break the train, perhaps. Might be a smart thing to do. You will be a whole lot faster on a short track like this with fresh tires. So don't be surprised if we see some 2-stoppers, or maybe the majority will be. Unless you're really careful with your tires, then a 1-stop is definitely possible. And if you're starting from the back, it might be worth the risk. But if you're starting for the top 10, perhaps not. Diego Ferrer has decided to go for another outlap. His first turn already was a bit messy. Nearly lost the car. We're going to have to swap our attention to Lucas Shea. In his first sector, 3 milliseconds quicker as we speak. It is an improvement, albeit a small bit, and he's got JST to compete against. I feel like JST might be the other driver in contention for pole position. Perhaps Damien can pull something out of the head as well. Dennis Kamenski, perhaps. We'll have to find out. Lucas Shea on his last chance to go even quicker than his own lap time. Middle sector is indeed an improvement. Can he become then the first driver to go into the 1 minute 2.6s? Looks like it at the moment, but there's still 2 tricky corners to go. Keep the car under control. That's wide and too wide. And no more time to recharge and try again. Even lost time due to going too wide, and that means JST. We're going to have to swap our attention to him. Slower in the middle sector. Will they have to find some time? No, he can't find time in the final sector. Then Damien Carril, a lot slower in sector 1. Alexi Cavero is now on his way as well. Or actually, he's just finished it. As Alex Santana. There it is. All the way from having no lap time whatsoever to pole position. There is still a whole slew of drivers, though, crossing the line still. His teammate, for example, Dennis Kamenski, doesn't improve. Oh, and Thomas Laminen gets a 5-place grid penalty for a collision with Ryan Grob. That is interesting. Not sure why these two drivers collided. Thomas Laminen only in P15. Pole in Monaco, 15th in Austria. And that means we might still have to get a restart. Although I don't think Thomas Laminen cares. He will only lose 1 position against Neil Guillot. I believe he's pushing still. The last driver to do so. Indeed. He's going to have to negotiate his way through the traffic. Let's hope they will all realize that he's on a hot lap. He's still in his original lap time. 1 minute 3.3. Everybody else in the 1 minute 2s. Thankfully, they all move out of the way. 27 milliseconds faster only in the middle sector. What's going on with Neil Guillot? He's not happy tonight. He was delighted in Austria. Despite being under serious pressure from Scott Holmes all the way to the line. He does improve, but he stays last. And now the question is, will Thomas Laminen call for a restart? And Ryan Grob says, no restart please, the Alpine just drove into me for no reason. And even, I don't think Thomas will want a restart either. He will only lose 1 position now. It really doesn't matter. Lucas Shea, the coordinator for F4, asking Ryan Grob for evidence. As Lamanen says, it was my AI. That makes things a bit more difficult. So let's see what Lamanen says. And he agrees with Lucas. Lucas just asked him, do you want to restart as your 16th? He says, I don't care if I'm P16 or 17. I think he's right about that one. I think that's the smartest one. The smartest decision to make. So, Alex Santana then confirmed on pole position. Lucas Shea will start alongside him. Very strong qualifying for him as well. Damien Carril, JST on the second row, followed by Alexi Cavero, Dennis Kamensky, Marius Ioanu, Ryan Grob, Philippe Sousa, Jeroen Visser, Alessandro Finn, Diego Ferro, Gianluca Nolfo, Tristan Janssen in 14th, then Nena Moreira, Neil Guillot, and Thomas Lamanen will be starting from the back due to his penalty. No restart will happen, and that means we'll be moving straight on to the race. And of course, the weather will be a bit of a surprise to me. I'm still wishing for a weather thingy as a spectator, but that's probably foolish to dream about. And there we are. That's the weather for you guys. It's raining! And that is going to make things a lot more interesting around this track. No DRS, it's true, but it is going to be slippery. And I wonder if these drivers have opted for a different type of setup, an intermediate setup. From their lap times, it doesn't look like it. So that means, it might mean that the rain will cover either half or less than half of the race distance. 18 laps or less, perhaps. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Usually, drivers tend to pick the setup that favors the majority of the race. So, if it's going to be dry for the majority, they'll pick the dry setup. If not, they'll pick the into setup. And I'd say, with a 1 minute 2.6 in the bag, we'll soon see dry conditions, which is also interesting to watch, don't get me wrong. And judging by the asphalt, it's not that wet. It might become wetter, it might also become drier. We might actually be on the verge in between inters and dries. But I feel like the entire field will have to start on the intermediate tires. You cannot choose whether you're going to go from the dries and or the wet compounds at the start of the race. You can, of course, choose between 3 different dry sets, three dry sorts of tires, and the when it's wet between the inters and the full wets, but you can't just change to dry from wet or vice versa. So we'll have to wait and see. I think it's going to be intermediates all the way, at least for now, with an interesting race ahead of us. Should be a good one here. Lucas Shea starting from the front row, had pole position in the bag. It was overtaken pretty much last minute by Alex Santana with a brilliant race start. We're waiting for players still. There we are for a moment. Oh, there's the lights on and off already. A bit of a glitch there going on. Apologies. Alex Santana tries to defend from Lucas Shea into turn 1. A bit of a wider line, carries more speed, but goes wide. Does that mean he has to give the position back? He does go slower. And he does allow Lucas Shea through for now, but he can try and attack him again in the next corner. But Damien Carril's there as well. Will they go 3 wide? No, they will not. There's a dive, though, from Dennis Kamensky, and that has potentially cost him a bit of front wing. And Damien Carril was hit by the Aston Martin there. JST falling down to P5. He's got Ryan Grob, his own teammate, behind. Both Red Bulls fighting as well. Both Racing Bulls behind is Marius Ioanu and Philippe Sousa. Oh, and there goes Marius Ioanu. Suddenly, he's turned around. I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but it looks like he jumped, and then suddenly it was turned around for some strange reason. Diego Ferrer falls behind fast now. More incidents happening. Yes, it's still raining. It's a bit difficult to see, but the rain is still falling if you follow them on board. I'll be making sure I'll try and stay on board. And Alex Santana going wide again. He's not happy in these conditions. Might have picked up 2 warnings already. And he's lost ground now to Lucas Shea, who nearly went for the move there. But it looks like Alex has a bit more straight line speed. Damien Carril still sitting behind quite closely. The race so far has been quite hectic. 2 groups starting to form. The top 10 has separated from the rest of the drivers. Alessandro Finn cannot keep up. Gianluca Nolfo and Nena Moreira going side by side for a move potentially in turn 2. What's it gonna be? Nearly 3 wide, another collision, a huge collision actually with several cars involved. Neil Guillot barging through. His car at least looks fine, but they are already 2.5 seconds behind the main pack. So far, the way they race hasn't really helped them whatsoever, and Alessandro Finn is now down to 16th. And the McLaren of Gianluca Nolfo has got damage in these conditions. That's not great. It's still raining, but it's only a little bit. The track, I think, is very close to being dry enough for the dry compound tires. The top 3, in the meanwhile, trying to get away from the rest as well. Dennis Kamensky, though, trying to keep the pressure on. And Alex Santana, I believe, nearly went wide once more. He does get the fastest lap of the race, though. Marius and Alessandro swap positions. Alessandro now at the back of the field. Thomas Lamminen from the back, now up to 14th. Alessandro Finn wants to get past, but he can't. DRS isn't open yet, which means technically it's still too wet, according to the game, to swap to the dries. Probably wise to stay out for now. Lucas Shea on the hunt to our man in the lead, Alex Santana, who is fast, but his car is a little bit on edge, I'd say. A bit understeery, a bit more than he would like. It might be a sign of him having picked a dry, very dry and fast setup. Because Lucas can't keep up on the straights, but in the corners he does harass the Aston Martin a little bit. Damien Carril trying to stay there as well. Dennis Kamenzi is caught back up again. Most gaps within a second. Neil Guillot is on a roll. He's driven away from the second group and is nearly caught up to the main group. So this qualifying pace was not great to say the least. His race pace is absolutely extraordinary. Maybe he has actually picked a wet setup. And he's now going fast. It might explain his lack of qualifying pace. And the vast difference between that and this race pace he has. Look at that, through the corners. He's a lot faster. He just gained 2/10 on Tristan Janssen in P10. And he's nearly there. So he might be on a special run from 16th to wherever he can. Neil Guillot, the winner from Monaco, on his way to the top 10. And Tristan Janssen can see him coming through the corners. Let's see how much he gains. There he goes. Now, look at that. Once again, 2:10 through the corner. I'm almost certain now that he's got a different setup compared to the rest. Alex Santana keeps the lead for now. A healthy lead at it. Driving away from Lucas Shea more and more. The gap is starting to increase to 1 second. So far, so good then for the Aston Martin. His pole position has been retained. And he goes even faster. 12.4 now. And the top 3 have remained stable. Dennis Kamenzi has gained 2 positions. Same goes for Ryan Grob. JSC and Lex Cavera have lost some. Tristan and Neil have gained the most so far. And Marius and Alessandro have lost the most. Neil has now stabilized his gap to about 1 second. He's lucky that there's no DRS yet. Through the hairpin, well, almost hairpin of turn 2. And he's now well within a second. Once again, having gained 2/10 of a second. And you can see he's losing that time again on the straights. Just showing that he's favored at least a higher downforce setup. And judging by the sky, I'd say the rain won't stop anytime soon. If you take this camera point of view, it looks like the sun is about to break through. But I believe that's just a bit of the lightning going on. The way the game renders it. Joan Visser and Tristan Janssen are starting to lose connection to the main group. In fact, I believe Tristan is about to pit. He is. Is he going to take a gamble then? JST as well. Are they taking a gamble for the dry tires? I was just talking about the sky being quite dark still. But here these 5 drivers are, including 1 from the top 10, 2 from the top 10 I should say, opting indeed for the hard tires. On a track that isn't completely dry yet. That is going to be tricky. We'll be keeping an lap time, an eye on the lap times for sure. Well, that's 6 drivers having opted for fresh tires. I can understand this from the drivers at the back of the field, but I think JST's choice has been a huge gamble. If it works out, he will be the race leader easily. If not, he's in trouble. Let's see how much he gains through the corners. 6.3. It was about stable, I'd say, through that corner. So perhaps the track is drying more than we think. Through the corner there. He does gain on Nena Moreira. Yep, he is definitely gaining. So what's the rest going to do then? They're all going to come in. Dennis Kamenski stays out. It's no longer raining now. The clouds are tricking us, indeed. Or at least they're tricking me. Race leader in now, probably for a set of hards. Here we go. Most drivers opting for the same choice, except for Diego Ferrer, who's decided to go for the mediums to try and catch up to the few remaining backmarkers. And now Alex and Lucas will be chasing each other on dry tires. Let's see how they get through the pit exit. A bit slippery there, of course. Where will JST be? Well, he's definitely gained a lot. He will soon be in 3rd position. He was in 6th, I believe, when he pitted. And he has now got the fastest first sector and a lot warmer tires. Yeah, and the DRS has been enabled as well. Lucas Shea potentially in trouble from the Williams. The man who was flying on the banker lap. Didn't get his pole position. Finds himself with a shot for the win, perhaps. Unless Lucas Shea can't keep up with Alex, and it looks like that is happening. Alex Santana is driving away in these dry conditions. 3 drivers yet to pit. You'll probably not be too happy with the fact that it's dry already. Then is Alexi and Neil now in the pit lane as well. Having stayed out 1 extra lap probably didn't help them whatsoever. Alexi and Dennis for the hard tires. What's Neil gonna do? He's gonna go for the hards as well. And now everybody is swapped to the dry compounds. And Neil will have to start his chase all over again. He's still in 11th, luckily for him. But he's further back now than he was before. Alexi Cavero has also stayed at 1 extra lap. That didn't help him. He's now lost 5 positions. He was in 4th, I believe, or 5th when he pitted. Or before he pitted. When they were still in the original groups on the Inters. And now it's just hanging on to the top 10. Just barely staying there. He will have fresher tires. That will be his advantage. But it's only a difference of 1 or 2 laps at most. JST has definitely made the right call there. By going in early. Tristan Janssen as well. Managed to climb his way up to 8th from 10th. And chasing down Dennis Kamenski, who tries to stay within DRS range. If he can't, then Tristan will definitely in with a shot for 7th. And he is. The top 6 driving away from the Aston Martin. Alex Santana doesn't wait for his teammate. And he shouldn't. Because this man, before Monaco, was still close to the championship leader, Lewis Bloor. And now, after his disastrous race in Monaco, he's leading the race once again. That's where he belongs, if he wants to win the title. But Lucas Shea has got something to say about it. He nearly lost connection to Alex Santana the previous lap, but he's right back up to his rear. Now that his tires are warmed up and up to speed, the top 3 is incredibly close together. So while Alex was able to drive away in the first lap on the dries, he's now in trouble. Will Lucas Shea now have the speed to finally overtake him? He nearly overtook him at the start of the race in turn 1. Alex went too wide, gave the position back, and then immediately re-overtook him in turn 2. As up to the line, Dennis Kamenski. Alexi Cavero actually gets the fastest lap of the race, but look at that. Lucas Shea is pressuring Alex in every corner. And he might just go for the move here. Or is he a bit too far away? No, there he goes. Alex Santana saw it coming. Doesn't fight it, but tries to get back at it in turn 2. Nice switchback attempt there. Will get DRS. And another attempt to retake the lead in turn 4 immediately. But Lucas has a bit more speed there. And Alex stays behind. So the new race leader now, Lucas Shea. Which will bring the light I believe, to some people watching this stream. Damien Carril fallen down to 4th, overtaken by JST. But he's definitely putting the pressure on the Williams ahead as he's pressurized by another Williams from behind. And Alex Santana, look at that. Lucas Shea just driven away. Alex appears to have not that much pace in the dry. And JST is the next in line to try and take another position from him. The man from pole position is starting to fall back. He just barely hangs on to DRS now, which is lucky for him, allowing him to stay with Lucas and stay ahead of JST. But JST is pushing hard now. Doesn't go for a dive. That would cost the both of them time. And Alex is lucky he still had DRS. If he didn't have it there, he wouldn't be in this position anymore, most likely, because JST is absolutely hammering the throttle to the floor. Damien knows it. He stays behind for a little bit extra. Ryan Grob staying patiently in P5. Philippe Sousa just behind. And Neil Guillot, despite his greatest efforts, isn't gaining enough through the corners. He's losing it all again on the straights now that DRS has been enabled. So his efforts so far have been in vain. Look at Shane, the second and third sector is so much faster than Alex. But this time he can't shake him off on the main straight. And JST will not be happy knowing that Alex will still have DRS. Which means he'll have to stay behind for the time being. Perhaps try another undercut. So far it's worked in his favor. Damien Carril with a big dive there. Getting awfully close to Williams. He needs a good exit here. He does get a good exit. He's now right on the gearbox of the Williams of JST. Trying to claim P3 on the podium. And now Alex will try and drive away again. Or sorry, Lucas will try and drive away again. Let's see what his speed is through the middle and final sector. It is showing indeed that Lucas Shea has got a more downforce on his car. We saw it in the first stint on the Inters as well. As he tried to overtake Alex, he just had no chance because Alex simply was too fast on the straights, which also explains his own understeer on the intermediate stint. We're on lap 13 already. Time is flying by. Diego Ferro overtakes Thomas Laminen for P15. As Nando Moreira does overtake the both of them for P15. Oh, we got a yellow flag. That's Thomas Laminen in the grass, actually. It's a bit difficult to see that from this camera angle. There we go. Laminen is not having a great time tonight. And this might just be the end of his race. He carries on, though. He's hoping for a safety car. Which could, of course, always happen. As he spins again on the final corner, I believe he did. I was swapping my attention to Dennis Kamensky, who got awfully close to Philippe Sousa. Ooh, Laminen now has lost the entire front wing. I'm not sure what's going on with his tires. But they provide him no grip whatsoever. And now he's going to have to drive all the way back to the pit. Without the front wing, I say that this is the end of his race. Because he'll soon be lapped. And even if a safety car comes out then, his race can no longer be saved. Unless everybody moves out of the way to allow him through. Which is unlikely to happen. It's his own teammate in the lead of the race. Yeah, Thomas Laminen having a disastrous day. So Alpine is definitely having some ups and downs tonight. With a race leader and a man in last. Alexi Cavero, Tristan Janssen going side by side in the corner here. Tristan wants to keep that 8th position, but Alexi is faster. He's lost positions during the round of pit stops from the Inters to the dries, but he's now back up to P8. He came out in P10 after he stayed out for another lap. And next up is Dennis Kamensky and his own teammate last week. He was completely stuck behind Philippe in Monaco. And he wasn't happy. His driving style showed it. He was also one of the championship contenders. He still is, despite his non-finish. Still sitting in 2nd in the standings. 24 points. He's also got a good shot at overtaking Lewis Bloor for the lead, but at the moment he will only score 4 points, which is still not good enough. So potentially after tonight, Lewis Bloor might still be the championship leader, depending on how things end, of course. I do not know from the top of my head where everybody else is in the standings. Damien Carril, for example. Don't think he's too far away either. And he's trying to get past JST properly now, side by side towards turn 4 for a few extra points and the podium. The Dutchman tries. Can he make it stick? JST is definitely not giving in that easily, but now the Williams has to yield. And Damien Carril moves up into third and still within DRS range of Alex Santana. Now he can try and overtake the Aston Martin. Alex Santana has now managed to get up to speed in the middle and final sector as well. Lucas can no longer escape. And Thomas Lemon is indeed giving up. That's the end of the race for him. No surprises there. First retirement here in Austria. 16 laps in. As he goes to the Discord and immediately says, what a race. Just wasn't meant to be for him. Alex Santana is trying to get the pressure back to Lucas Shea to retake the lead of the race. Lucas needs to make no mistakes to make sure Alex stays behind. He needs to time his pit stops to perfection. They also have Damien Carril now for company, who was fast in Monaco and proves to be fast in Austria again as well. So far, the Dutchman been very consistent in his race pace. But JSC isn't done and dusted yet. For Damien, he's still a threat. He's still sticking with the McLaren. In the meanwhile, Neil Guillot has slowly been closing the gap. He's now within 2.5 seconds, more or less. But he's been gaining that over the last 6 laps. So it's slow, but at least it's closing. Alexei Cavero is very close to Denis Kamensky now and ready to take another position. Same goes for his teammate Philippe Soushaus, is even closer. Can he go for a move? He can't. Can Alexei go for a move? He can't either. Whoa, good exit though, and a bit of a tap on Denis Kamensky's gearbox. And it means he falls behind. It means he ruins his own exit. Brakes just a little bit too late, and he's going to have to try again now. Tristan Janssen was in danger of losing DRS. He's now back in business. Jeroen Visser just hanging on as well. In P10. And they all have separated themselves as Neil has suddenly lost a lot of pace. He's now lost 0.6 of a second to the top 10. His run to the front of the field has been halted now, and he's losing ground fast. His only solution is an undercut, I'm afraid. Alex Santana is trying to make Lucas' life difficult. And he's gonna go for an overtake here, there's no doubt about it. Lucas Shea defends the inside. Alex Santana goes around the outside, no problem there. Can Lucas Shea fight it back, or will he fight it back? That's the question. I don't think he will. Nor do I think he can. He's too far back. 0.3 of a second is small, but it's too much on this short straight to turn number 4. No chance there. Alex back on top of it. The pole sitter back in the lead of the race. I think Lucas and Alex won't fight it too hard just yet. They got threats from behind. Damien, JST, and maybe even Ryan and Philippe. Denis Kamensky's got a time penalty. He's not a threat at the moment. Alexei Cavero is still trying to get past, so I think Dennis's attention is more backwards than ahead. As he tries to keep the Finn behind. The Finn of the Red Bull. Gianluca Nolfo, the second driver with a 3-second time penalty. But he's in P13. And far away from any points at the moment. And there goes Damien Carril. Lucas Shea. After being overtaken by Alex Santana. Will he be overtaken by Damien? He doesn't want it to happen. Damien goes wide. Can't find a way through. And JSC was too far behind to make a proper move there. We saw Philippe Sousa on the timing board, very close to Ryan Grob as well. But still no way past. Both Red Bulls once again stuck behind some cars. Last week, Philippe was stuck behind Lucas Shea. This time he's stuck behind Ryan Grob, and Alexi Cavero, if he clears Dennis, will once again be stuck behind his own teammate. And I think we're going to see an undercut attempt by Ryan Grob. Indeed we do. 12 lap old hards now. A good moment to pit. For another set of hard tires perhaps, and then onto the mediums until the end. Or maybe a long stint of hards with 16 laps. It is possible. There he goes to the hards once more. I'd say you can make these last until the end. It's easily... You can make the mediums last 16 laps if you're careful. So you should be able to make these last. And then the Moreira gets a 10-second penalty in the pit lane. That really doesn't help him. Diego Ferrer goes in as well. He's made those mediums last 14 laps, as you can see, 13 actually. So it's easily possible. Ryan Grob then, on his way until the end of the race, I'd say. He will gain quickly now on Gianluca Nolfo. And this will put the top 3 under pressure. Or the top 4 actually. What will they do now? Will they pit? No, not yet. His teammate will though. JST does come in to cover up his own teammate. Same goes for Dennis Kamensky and Philippe Sousa. He follows JST through into the pit lane for his swap to the hards as well. Now we're going to see JST versus his teammate Ryan Grob. 1 lap difference as we glitch. Don't worry, he's no longer here. There he goes. Teleports into the pit exit. And Ryan Grob is already well clear. Look at that. The gap is already up to well over a second. And JST has fallen behind his teammate. Ryan Grob at this rate will be the race leader. That will be quite something. Alex, Lucas and Shea will probably pit by the end of this lap. And they probably won't fight. That will cost them even more time. Alexi Cavero is a bit too far back. Tristan Janssen is trying to stay with the Finn there. Alexi will now lose some positions, but he came in later. So it's no wonder he's not pitting yet. But he might do so now, and he does. Tristan Janssen, same story. Jeroen Visser carries on. What will Neil do? Neil will do the same thing. You can't really undercut the top 10 anymore. But he can at least try and undercut Jeroen Visser, who's now the race leader. Jeroen is probably hoping, praying for a safety car. Alex Santana here versus Ryan Grob. Who's going to become the new race leader? And I think it's going to be Ryan Grob, sorry. And what about JST? Can he make it a Williams 1-2 when Jeroen pits? For now, he can. And Philippe Sousa goes ahead of the Aston Martin as well. And now Alex will have the freshest tires, but he will be P4 at best by this point. He's got an opportunity here, perhaps. A dive in turn 4, and he's going to have to go around the outside. Philippe outbrakes himself. Does it allow Alex to get side by side? No. He doesn't. Jeroen Visser will have to pit now. Otherwise, his top 10 will be under threat, and he doesn't. He carries on for another lap. Will he try and go for the mediums then? Otherwise, carrying on past this point, I think is kind of pointless, to be honest. Ryan Grob, soon to be your new race leader. The undercut has worked in his favor. 2 laps earlier than the previous race leader of Alex Santana, who's now behind Philippe Sousa. And Philippe has become the driver who many people can get stuck behind, but not Alex Santana. Philippe then lags a little bit, I think. Goes through JST. I'm not sure if that's allowed. He's going to try it nonetheless. JST will not be too happy. Alex Santana will find an opportunity here. There's some desync going on, that's for sure. Alex goes through. Philippe Sousa gets barged to the side. I don't think that is on Alex, though, to blame. Damien Carril gets past Dennis Kamensky. He's unhappy as well, of course. He does have fresher tires, but he's going to have to fight his way through the field to have any chance at winning. But we know this man can do it. He was able to fight in Monaco easily through the field. No problem at all for him there. Aaron Visser will now drop like a stone through the field. He just got his fresh hard tires, and even Neil Guillot will get ahead of him. And Neil finds himself in the top 10 now. Off he goes into the points from second to last. And DRS to go with it. The Williams drivers now got a perfect opportunity to work together, but I'm not sure if they will. Alex Santana back up in third. He's sliced his way through the field already. Same goes for Lucas Shea. Only Damien Carril remains behind Felipe. And look at that. Felipe is absolutely lagging like mad. If the reports are going to flood in, they might want to use the stream footage as evidence as well that Felipe's internet is not really cooperating. Look at that. There's some serious desync going on. And Felipe has become a bit of a danger on the track. No fault of his own, of course. That is his internet being unfriendly. But Damien might want to get past as soon as he possibly can. Alex Santana is trying to split the Williams cars in the meanwhile. Yeah, there he goes. Trying to ghost through Felipe. Alexi Cavero has now become a serious threat. And suddenly, if Alexi is there, trying to go around the outside, Damien has to defend. He's stuck behind the lagging Red Bull, and the other Red Bull tries to take advantage of it. But Damien keeps his cool. Neno Moreira has retired from the race in the pit lane as well, becomes the second retirement. No surprises there. He picked up his 10-second time penalty already. There's no way that's going to be fixed anymore. The safety car at this point is unlikely. So far the racing has been clean enough. Alex Santana is putting some serious pressure on JST. Is he going to go for the move in turn 1? That would be quite brave. JST defends. Alex gives him enough space to stay on the track, but they will be going side by side towards turn number 2. Alex loses speed. But JST will have to defend the outside. Alex barges through. There he goes. Back into second place. And once again, within a stone's throw of the win. But JST is going to try and get back at him. Is he going to go on the inside? He's definitely not willing to give up the position that easily. Alex has to go wide, but he's still there. Turn 6, side by side still. He has to yield here, otherwise things might get ugly. Oh, he nearly loses control. JST does. And that allows Alex to go through. Alex Santana now taking second place. JST slots behind into third. Lucas Shea is very close as well. JST will not be a happy man, but unfortunately, that was entirely his own fault. And he's lucky he didn't get into the gravel, because he would have lost a whole lot more than that. Than just one position. And there he goes now once again. Trying to take back the second place that he thinks now belongs to him. Is he going to go for a dive in turn 2? He nearly is. He's definitely showing Alex that he's not ready to give up. And now Alex is going to have to hurry up. He's going to try and get past Ryan Gropp now. Although Ryan is just a bit too far back. And JST now has to defend and attack at the same time, because there's Lucas Shea trying to get back up to the podium. Damien Carril still stuck behind the lagging Felipe Sousa. Although his leg might have stabilized a little bit. He doesn't look as unstable anymore. He's driving smoothly again. The issues might have been resolved then. And Alexi Cavero, look at that, all over the back in the final 2 corners of the McLaren. Dennis and Tristan are watching the spectacle happen ahead of them. They will be hoping for a monumental crash to take first and second. Let's hope that won't happen. Will be entertaining, but dramatic for the entire top 6. Or 7, actually. Now, Alex Santana on the move. Ryan Grob defending the inside. Same goes for JST, defending and attacking once again. Doing 2 jobs at once. And Alexi Cavero, in the meanwhile, goes through on both his teammate and Damien Carril. And Philippe Sousa, to the desperation of Damien, that shows by his dive, barges through. Finally ahead, but he still lost positions, and Ryan Grob from the lead. There's so much going on, it's no longer possible to keep track of everything. So we've missed this here happening. Ryan Grob losing positions from 1st now to 4th, and Alex Santana in the lead. There's Alexi Cavero trying to challenge him in turn 9, and ahead he goes. Does Ryan have damage perhaps that we can't see? Alexi Cavero suddenly finds himself with a shot for the win in P4, lap 29. Alex tries to get away from JST, as JST tries to resettle in his pace. Tries to stay with Alex Santana. Lucas Shea wants to get past. So far has been the only man to challenge the Aston Martin for the win. Dennis Kamensky, Philippe Sousa. Philippe about to lose another position. Question mark. Damien Carril gets ahead of Ryan Grob. Ryan now down to P6, or is he? He is. He's going to try and fight it around the outside. A desperate dive there by Damien against Alexi. Alexi who suddenly lost a whole lot of pace. Now almost. Oh my goodness, and there we go. 3 wide in turn 6. Never would have worked, and it didn't. More drama happening then in the final few laps of this race. And the FIA will have a lot to look at, I'm afraid. Things have just become a little bit ugly. As I was saying 3 laps ago, the racing so far has been really clean. Now I've jinxed it into a whole lot of drama. Ryan Grob going wide. Front wing damage now. From the race lead and an undercut to fighting to stay in the top 6. Through goes Philippe Sousa. Through goes Tristan Janssen. Ryan Grob nearly loses control again. There's Neil Guillot in P9 by this point, as Dennis Kamensky, of course, went into the gravel. Finds himself with another position to gain. Ryan Grob has got no more control over his car, or barely has any control. Tristan Janssen harassing Philippe Sousa, trying to go around the outside in turn 6. Surely he's learned from what he's seen on the previous lap that you shouldn't overtake there unless you've got a massive pace advantage, and he thought he had. But he wasn't yet past Philippe completely. And now the top 5 is driven away. 5 drivers now fighting for the win. The oldest tires in the top 5 belong to JST, but the tire difference is only 1 lap. Shouldn't bother him that much, especially if he's kept these tires under control. He's still got Lucas Shea close behind. And Lucas is gonna have to hurry up if he wants to win the race. Ryan Grob's just lost another position. He's now only in P10. But at least the gap behind is pretty big. Jeroen Visser up in P9 now. That's Philippe Sousa and Tristan Janssen going at it again. Tristan is gonna have to go around the outside again, and this time he gets through. Philippe Sousa has no more answer to give. Yellow flag, Dennis Kamensky spun once more. That is his race effectively over. Now down in 13th and far away from any group to help him back. It looks like the front wing might actually be gone. I'm trying to get another camera angle, but the game refuses to change it. Dennis Kamensky's race. Yep, his left side of the front wing is badly damaged. And he's likely to throw in the towel now. Dennis Kamensky, another disastrous race for him. He's been having no luck so far. And he's out. Lucas Shea, there he goes, on the offensive against JST for 2nd place. He wants to reclaim the position he started from. JST, though, is trying to get back on the inside. They are still going side by side, but JST has to throw in the towel, or does he? Turn 6. A corner is simply too quick to try and attack. And Lucas Shea goes off to try and chase down Alex Santana. But Alex is driven away now due to that battle. He's outside of a second. A golden opportunity for the man who had a disaster in Monaco to show once again that he's still got the pace. He's still got an opportunity for the championship. Alexi Cavero close to the podium still. Another man driving for the title. Lucas Shea now 1.4 seconds behind. JST is definitely going to try and take him here. Side by side he goes. Lucas Shea defends. I feel like he's given up the win and now tries to defend second place. He's lost more time. And JST is going to have to try go around the outside. Same goes for Alexi Cavero. Double attack against Lucas Shea. He slots himself nicely in the middle. Alexi Cavero finds himself with an opportunity on the inside in turn 6. Can he make it work though? That's the question. JST goes too wide. It's almost 3 wide in turn 7. Scary moments once again between several drivers. And Alexi Cavero is up to the podium. Lucas Shea down to 4th all of a sudden. All due to JST's mistake once again at the exit of turn 6. But this time it somehow worked in his favor. Damien Carril incredibly close as well. And Alex Santana is gone. The win has gotten away from them. They are now fighting for second place. The 4 of them. Will this result in more drama then? Side by side they go in turn 2. Damien has already tapped a car in this corner. He doesn't want it to happen again. Where is he going to go? Outside or inside? Lucas defends nicely. Does Damien have more exit speed? Certainly enough to stay somewhat side by side. Is he going to try it in turn 6? He is also trying in turn 6. And Lucas Shea is now down to P5 and front wing damage. Due to tapping the right rear tire of the McLaren. And that might be his podium dreams over as well. Alexi Cavero and Alex Santana. 2 title contenders in 1 and 2. Alex has got no more threat from behind. Alexi still got some drivers behind him challenging him. Tristan Janssen is catching up to this group with some other drivers in tow. Two laps to go, 1.5 effectively. JST wants that second place back. Alexi doesn't want to give it up. But he's going to have to defend against them one more lap after this one. They're now too far back to make any moves. Lucas Shea is starting to fall behind. Unsurprisingly. As he tried to hang on around the outside of Damien Carril. Or the inside, I should say. The outside, actually, it was. Apologies. He's... well, I was going to say he damaged his car, but now he hasn't anymore. I'm sure I saw the end plate missing. But it isn't. Damien Carril is closer to JST than JST is to Alexi Cavero. So JST will have to look behind him more than he can look ahead. Final lap of the race. Alex Santana still far ahead. 2 more opportunities for JST. The first one coming into turn number 2. Against Alexi Cavero for second place. Damien Carril also running out of time. Try to get the best exit possible. Can JST do that? He can't. 4.5 tenths back is way too much. Damien Carril is a bit closer. Is he gonna risk it all for third place? He is not. Probably for the best. These points are still good points. Philippe Sousa makes the move against Tristan Janssen. 3 wide they go. My goodness me. Nearly playing a bit of pinball there. But they keep each other in one piece, and Philippe Sousa will have to take P8. Neil Guillot stays behind in P9. He'll probably be delighted with that anyway, starting from 16th all the way to the points. But it is Alex Santana who has managed to stay away from the melee in Austria as he wins the 5th round in PSGL F4. And it is Alexi Cavero taking 2nd from JST and Damien Carril. Lucas Shea finishes in P5. There's Jeroen Visser, who will be delighted to finish in P6 after all the chaos. Tristan Janssen takes P7. Philippe Sousa P8. Neil Guillaume 9th. Ryan Grob takes P10 from Mario Ioanu despite his front wing damage. Ryan, of course, will be bitterly disappointed with that result, as he was fighting for the win, but then got involved in a whole lot of drama. And certainly there will be some reports from those incidents indeed. We're just waiting for the final 2 tries to finish. Diego Ferrer will be finishing 13th behind Gianluca Nolfo in 12th. And just Alessandro Finn remaining, who finds himself at the back of the field once again. Of course, last week the back of the field meant P9. But now it means P14. And last of those who finished. That is a shame, but it is what it is. Quite the race there. Austria never fails to disappoint. I should say that differently, actually. Never fails to entertain. Because it didn't disappoint whatsoever. Alex Santana from pole to the win. It was looking quite tough for a few moments, but then, due to the chaos behind, and staying out of that particular chaos, he got a gap of about 3 seconds to Alexi Cavero finishing 2nd. JST rounding off the podium in P3. Damien Carril would have liked more from that, I'm sure. Same goes for Lucas Shea, who's lost a whole lot of time. Jeroen Visser will be happy. Same goes for Tristan Janssen. Both Dutchmen have made up several places. Philippe Sousa also. Neil Guillaume from 16th to 9th. Ryan Grob probably very disappointed indeed. Marius Ioanu, I'd say same story. Gianluca Nolfo from 13th to 12th, not much to write home about. Diego Ferrer and Alessandro Finn far behind. Dennis Kamensky will also not be very happy, to say the least. And then Maria and Thomas Lemon out of the race as well. Now, let's see if these drivers have got some insights on what happened in this race, as I try to tag them in the F4 Discord, which does allow me to show you guys my face again. Hello. Oh, that's the wrong one, actually. Never mind. I should be a bit bigger than that. There we go. That's better. Let's see if anybody on the top 3 will give us a bit of their time. Alexi Cavero appears to be satisfied with this result so far in the chat, and it looks like we will have an interview with our race winner, so that is always good to hear. Let's therefore drag him in. Alex Santana from pole position to victory, but I don't think it's an easy victory, wasn't it?
No, it definitely wasn't. No.
What was the most challenging in this race? Because there was a lot of things going on. The rain, and then, of course, a lot of chaos, the undercuts, the overcuts. What was the most challenging thing here?
Yeah, I think the rain at the start was... I thought it was going to go on for longer. So I actually would like a more of a kind of wet setup. So pressures were a bit not great for the dries. So tire wear was more than I expected. And yeah... the undercut and the overcut, I just saw people box it, and I thought our tires are probably not going to make it with my pressures because I was having more tire wear. So I just went a bit longer and it worked.
Yeah, of course. There was a lot of things going on. How did you manage to stay away from all the drama happening around you?
Yeah, I was quite lucky because I got past Ryan for first. And yeah, I think it was Jay, and I don't know exactly who, but they kind of like battled, and I was able to get like a 1.1 gap. And as soon as you don't have DRS in this game, it's quite over for especially on Austria with so many DRS straights.
Yeah, you managed to finish the race with a gap of 3 seconds. Is that something you expected when you started the race?
No, definitely not. Like I came into this race with little practice, and yeah, it's better than I ever expected. Like,
Yeah, a little bit look backwards at last week. Of course, Monaco wasn't the greatest race for you. This time, though, that's your second victory this season, and it will mean you'll get yourself up to 34 points, and you'll at least overtake Lewis Bloor for the potential championship lead. Let me do a bit of a quick math, as Alexi Caveiro will be getting second place. That's 36 for him. You'll be on 34 points, so you'll be very close to the title contention still. With just over half the season remaining, do you see yourself as a title contender still?
I mean, I wasn't going for it at the start, but now I might look into it because it's definitely there.
Yeah, next week we'll be going to, let me have a little bit of a quick look at the calendar, which round is up next. It's Canada. How is that track for you?
Yeah, it's fine. I think it's one of my better tracks, but I don't want to jinx it. It's going
fair,
well
yeah, fair
for
enough.
now.
I mean, you kind of jinxed your own downfall in Monaco as well, where you said it in the Discord, isn't it?
I mean, but I knew. I
okay.
went into
Fair
Monaco with absolute no laps practice. Like, the first lap was on the actual lobby, so I wasn't expecting much from Monaco.
All right. Well, either way, enjoy your victory here. Well done to you.
Yeah, thanks.
Cheers. Right, up next, the man, I'd say Alexi, who fought really, really hard for second place. I think, Alexi, it was second place well earned, but perhaps you wanted a bit more than that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not complaining. Fighting myself back from 11th, from the trenches, back to the podium. So, yeah, I think pretty much almost a perfect race, apart from the strategy blunder at the start. But yeah, I'm very happy with that race.
Yeah, take us through your race, because of course it started on the intermediate tires, then it became dry relatively quickly. You stayed on an additional lap. Is that the strategy blunder you meant?
Absolutely, yes. I lost, I think, 5 positions with that, and also getting pushed lap 1, turn 3. I got pushed right on the exit, so I lost, I think, to both Williams on that. So I lost 2 or 3 positions already with that. But then I just wanted to, you know, try to overcut if the track wasn't ready for slicks yet, which I really thought it wouldn't be. But then it dried up super, super quick, so that caught me a bit off guard. But hey, at least I managed to fight back from there.
Yeah, how did you approach that? Because you came out in P10 and you managed to finish second place after all. What was your approach for the final, for those laps?
Calm, I'd say. I was just, you know, waiting for the right moments, trying to manage the tires as much as I could. As obviously I was on a bit of an overcut because of being forced, of course, on the inters 1 more lap, and then when boxing to the second set of hards, I was also forced 1 more lap because my teammate boxed. So I knew I had a bit of a tire advantage, so I was just taking it easy, waiting for people to fight in front and saving my battery and picking the right moments to go for those overtakes. And yeah, that seemed to work wonders for me.
Yeah, I mean, weren't you a little bit worried because you were in second place in the final 2 laps? I mean, without any DRS, was that danger to be in that position?
A bit, yeah, of course. With a track that has 3 DRS zones back to back to back, it's always a risk. But I was confident in my own ability and my pace, and I knew I had a bit better tires and in the end, so it's gonna be hard for the car behind to overtake me, of course, in the dirty air with worse tires. So yeah, I was pretty confident when I saw the gap after turn 1 on the final lap already, because I had loads of battery. I was just trying to save as much as I could, basically. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this result means that, yeah, you've now got out of the races you finishes. They've all been second places for you in Belgium and Texas as well. It appears to be your favorite step on the podium. But it also means that if my math is correct, that you are now the championship leader. So,
yeah.
Do you see yourself winning the title this season?
I mean, that's obviously the aim, even with, you know, two very bad races, getting damage on Australia and DNF, and then Monaco was just a horror show. Even though the pace was there. But yeah, after those 2 races, I'm still leading the championship. So if I can just start banging in these good results consistently, and, you know, get out of the occasional DNF that seems to happen now, just, you know, edge those out of my season, and I think I should be able to contend for the championship. Alex is, of course, in great form, so I think he's gonna put up a great fight for that as well. It's gonna be enjoyable.
All right, cheers. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight, and enjoy your second place.
Mate. Yeah, I will. Thanks.
Cheers. All right, and that will conclude tonight's broadcast here for F4. As usually, Simon, I keep pressing the wrong camera screen button. I'm just so used to pressing this one. But this is the correct one. There we go once again, with my face a little bit bigger than that. Hopefully next week we'll be 2 men strong in the commentary box once again in Canada. Next week round. And we're already headed to December. That's how quick time goes these days. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. We'll see you next week. Same place, same time. Until then, goodbye.